My name is Allison Davidson. I am the Director of Connections here at Bethel United Methodist Church. And first off, I would like to say thank you for volunteering your time, for making sure that we have the safest place for our children and youth, and just for your interest in being a volunteer in those ministry areas here at Bethel. We do truly appreciate you giving up your gifts and talents and your love for these children and youth, and to make sure that they are in the safest environment possible. But first, I would like to start off the training video by explaining a little bit about what Safe Sanctuary Policy is, why it's so important and critical for us here at Bethel. Since 2007, churches in the South Carolina Conference of the United Methodist Church have sought to provide and implement the safe sanctuary practices. Each local church must maintain a safe sanctuary policy and review it annually. The 2016 General Conference of the United Methodist Church adopted a resolution aimed at reducing the risk of child sexual abuse in the church. Jesus said, "Whoever welcomes a child welcomes me." Matthew 18, verse 5. Children are our present and our future, our hope, our teachers, our inspiration. They are full participants in the life of the church in the realm of God. Tragically, churches have not always been safe places for children. Sexual abuse, exploitation, and ritual abuse occur in churches large and small, urban and rural. The problem cuts across all economic, cultural, and racial lines. It is real, and it appears to be increasing. Most annual conferences can cite specific incidents of child sexual abuse and exploitation within churches. Virtually every congregation has amongst its members the adult survivors of early sexual trauma. Such incidents are devastating to all who are involved: the child, the family, the local church, and its leaders. Increasingly, churches are torn apart by the legal, emotional, and monetary consequences of litigation following allegations of abuse. God calls us to make our churches safe places, protecting children and other vulnerable persons from sexual and ritual abuse. God calls us to create communities of faith where children and adults can grow safe and strong. Thus, in covenant with all United Methodist congregations, Bethel United Methodist Church adopts this policy for the prevention of child abuse in our church. Let me first state Bethel's purpose for adopting this policy. The purpose for establishing this child abuse prevention policy and accompanying procedures is to demonstrate our total and unwavering commitment to the physical, emotional, and spiritual safety of all of our children, youth, and vulnerable adults. Our covenant statement. Bethel United Methodist Church hereby pledges to conduct the ministry of Jesus Christ in ways that strive to assure the physical and emotional safety and spiritual growth of all of our children, youth, and vulnerable adults, as well as all of our workers with children, youth, and vulnerable adults. We will follow appropriate safety measures when selecting and recruiting workers. We will implement appropriate operational procedures in all areas of programming and care. We will train our workers with children and youth on our procedures and policies, and we will have a clearly defined procedure for reporting a suspected incident of abuse consistent with the South Carolina state law. So to conclude, in all of our ministries with children, youth, and vulnerable adults, this congregation is committed to demonstrating the love of Jesus Christ so that each child, youth, and vulnerable adult will be surrounded by steadfast love, established in the faith, and confirmed and strengthened in the way that leads to life eternal. This is part of our baptismal covenant as United Methodists and as Christians. This is why it is so important to Bethel.
Hello, my name is Matt Halverstadt, and I am speaking on behalf of Bethel's Staff Parish Relations Committee. I'd like to cover the section on our guidelines for volunteers, paid staff, and supervisory positions. Our policy on paid staff, volunteers, and supervisory positions reads as follows. First, age. Volunteers, paid staff, or supervisors who work with children, youth, or any position of authority must be at least 21 years of age and at least 5 years older than the age of the person they are working to serve. Church affiliation. Volunteers, paid staff, and supervisor positions who work with children, youth, and vulnerable adults must be an active participant in regular worship, meaning attending at least 2 Sundays each month and have an active role in the ministry of the church for at least the last 6 months. Supervisors and paid workers with children. A satisfactory background check must be completed before volunteer, supervisors, and paid staff work with children, youth, or vulnerable adults in the church. There's an application process. Staff and supervisory applicants must complete and sign an application form and related waivers giving permission to check references and background information. Reference checks. Church leaders will check 3 references for each staff or supervisory position worker. The references will be performed by phone, by mail, or in person. Background checks. Criminal background checks will be made by the administrative or office of all clergy, paid staff, and volunteers who have supervisory program responsibilities for youth, such as youth group leaders, and all other church employees. Prior convictions. Individuals who have been convicted of physical or sexual abuse or neglect may not work in any church-sponsored activity or program for preschoolers, children, youth, or vulnerable adults. Individuals who have been convicted of financial crimes will not be allowed to work with money. Individuals who have been convicted of DUI in the past 5 years will not drive any person of any age. Confidentiality of information. The church will keep confidential all information received in the applicant's selection process. Selection information will be marked as such and stored in a locked location with access limited to selected church staff and the pastor, who will inform others with a need to know. You will hear from me later in the video when we will cover how Bethel handles allegations of abuse.
Hi, my name is Garrison Pollack. I've been the Director of Youth Ministries here at Bethel for the last 7 years. I'm here today to talk to you about our Safe Sanctuaries policy, which covers our children, youth, and vulnerable adults. I'll begin today by talking about our 2-adult rule. Our 2-adult rule in our Safe Sanctuary policy states 2 Safe Sanctuary trained adults will be present during classroom activities away from church facilities, and when transporting children and youth. In extenuating circumstances, when 2 are not available, at least 1 adult will be assigned as a rover to add support and accountability. Teachers will be assigned into teams of 2 or more per Sunday school hours to every class of children and youth. If the group stays overnight at the church, or if the church-sponsored group leaves the premises, 2 or more leaders will be present, and that will include 1 male and 1 female, if the group is mixed gender. Simply put, 2 adults will always be present, whether the event is on site or away from the church, on a trip, or events or activities. Teachers will also follow the 2 adult rule in the classroom. So let's talk about outings away from church property and gifts. Youth and mission teams are often away on trips, so our policy for outings away from the church property is noteworthy. Parents of all children and youth participating in an out-of-town and overnight outing must sign a written consent form and a medical release form, both of which may be completed for a 1-year period, but must be renewed annually. In no circumstance is one adult, other than the parent, to take a child or children on an overnight outing alone. On youth overnight outings, a 1-to-7 staff to youth supervision ratio will be observed. Female staff will supervise female youth in their sleeping quarters, and male staff will supervise male youth in their sleeping quarters. Married couples will observe the female-female and male-male sleeping arrangements, with the exception of a parent and child combination. A staff and youth will not occupy the same bed or sleeping bed. These are just good practices to follow. Gifts. Gift giving should be done on a group basis and only on special occasions. Gifts should be modest and appropriate for the occasion. Last but not least, individual counseling. One-on-one interactions with children, youth, and vulnerable adults are sometimes necessary and appropriate, but care must be taken that they are conducted in an environment that provides visibility by other adults. All incidents of suspected abuse and neglect revealed during the session will be reported in accordance with Section 6 of this policy. Thank you for your time and for caring enough to help us love our children safely here at Bethel.
Hi, I'm Nova Duncan, and I'm here, the Children's Director here at Bethel United Methodist Church. First and foremost, I'm a retired teacher of 41 years, and I take this policy very seriously because I care about the safety of our children that are under my care. We have gone to great lengths to make sure that our children are in a safe environment, from the nursery all the way to the youth who are in the CHIP Center. They are with trained volunteers who have the safety of our children always at the uppermost and first part of their mind. One of the ways we maintain safety is by watching and closely monitoring our worker-children ratio. The number of workers, volunteers, staff, supervisors required for each event, above the minimum of 2, is determined by the number and the age of the participants and the nature of activities. I have lots of parents who are on call. If I have more children than necessary show up for an event, I have parents that I can tap to help make the ratio work according to the numbers. Bethel has a goal of maintaining these ratios with workers to children. In some circumstances, as I just stated, these are not feasible, but I do have volunteers who I can tap, and if they're available, then we get the ratio back to where it should be. The nursery ratio is 2 workers for every 10 children. Sunday school is 2 workers for every 14 children. Youth programs are 2 workers for every 16 children. Midweek classes or any events that we have during the week is 2 workers for every 14 children. And for Vacation Bible School, we have 2 workers for 14 children. Our nursery director is a professional preschool educator who has been with Bethel on Sunday mornings for 17 years. Our nursery procedure is all parents and legal guardians using the church nursery will observe a check-in and check-out procedures. We have a sign-in and sign-out process with the little tag, so we never let a child cry for an extended amount of time. We always contact the parents, or if available, one of us may go in and tap the parents. I've done that like for the tableau. When the parent didn't hear or see the monitor going off, I walked into the sanctuary and notified a parent to come when a child got sick. We have the cameras in all the children's classrooms. So at all times, the children are under a camera and being watched. We have a security code just for the nursery preschool area only, and it is separate from the rest of the building in the education center and the buzzer. So we have that. We also have an open door policy that goes as follows. Further protection for children, youth, and vulnerable adults requires that an open door policy be followed. The legal guardian of the children served, clergy, administrative, and professional staff of the church have the right to visit unannounced and observe any children or youth activity, classroom, or church-sponsored program at any time. There must be access to a telephone or cell phone when a group is on site and away from inside the church facility. The church office or authorized church representative will be given this number prior to the group's departure from the church property. That's like in case sometimes the youth do a walking tour or something and they carry with them the cell phone. Sometimes we come outside as the children and I always have the cell phone with me if we're sitting outside in the grass having a lesson. The doors and windows. All classroom and offices doors have a window. In most of ours, we have multiple windows or visibility from the hallways, and they're also remain open while occupied. They're not locked. Windows will be kept free from adornment, and exterior windows are locked at all times. And one of the things we do when we leave the preschool and nursery areas, we pull the shades down because we're on the first floor, so we make sure the shades are pulled down completely when no one is in. One exception, however, to this about open the windows is the confidentiality that's needed in the pastor's study. Accountability is kept by another staff member when being present in the administrative suite. Many congregations in South Carolina Conference are seeking to ensure the physical safety of the people on their campus during the week and Sunday services. And one of the things I want to say, in light of many things that have happened recently, we are very, very cautious and make sure that we are secure at all time in this building. Officer Cherry, Officer Malone, or any of the other police officers on duty, I greet every Sunday and we talk about if we're doing something different, or I alert them to our patterns of behavior and what we're expecting so that they are aware at all times of where I am in the building with the children, so that if they are needed, I have their cell phone number and I can call them immediately. Each congregation has a unique setting, which is why Bethel is working toward a safety system that meets our specific needs. We hope that this training video helps you not only understand our volunteers, but also helps to state our congregation to our goals and procedures in safety and the ways we carry them out. We thank you for your cooperation.
We've had a chance to hear from people who work closest with our children and with our youth. So now let's turn our attention to conversations about what will happen should there be a report of an allegation against a volunteer or paid staff. So I'll speak specifically to our process as outlined in our policy, and it reads as follows. Response by church workers to allegations of abuse. If a suspected incident of abuse or neglect occurs at the church or is revealed to a volunteer or a paid staff person at a church-sponsored activity, the following steps will be taken. 1, the adult in charge of the activity will ensure the safety of the child, youth, or vulnerable adult and tend to his or her immediate needs as the situation dictates, then inform the pastor, then fill out an incident report. From that point, the pastor will contact the family of the child or vulnerable adult, then immediately remove the accused from further involvement with children, youth, vulnerable adults, always with dignity and respect for the sacred worth of the person. Then inform the district superintendent and the church's insurance company. Then determine in consultation with the district superintendent what to tell key church leaders and the congregation and devise a plan to help the church move forward. Then consult with the South Carolina Conference Communications Coordinator for assistance in dealing with any media inquiries and preparing statements. And act as the only point of contact for any media inquiries or designate one person to do so. All church staff and volunteers will defer any media request to the pastor or his or her designee. The person who initially reported the incident of suspected abuse or neglect, or to whom the allegation was revealed, will be present with the pastor when appropriate agencies are notified. So this is our process for volunteers or paid staff. Now, if a suspected incident of abuse or neglect is revealed to a volunteer or a paid staff person alleged against a clergy member who is appointed to serve Bethel, Matt will address the procedure to be followed. Matt?
Thank you, Susan. If a pastor or clergy member is suspected or accused of sexual misconduct or abuse, the following steps will be taken. The safety of the victim of the alleged misconduct or abuse will be ensured, and his or her immediate needs will be tended to, as the situation dictates. Second, the person who initially reported the allegation of misconduct or abuse, or to whom the allegation was revealed, will do the following. Inform the Staff Parish Relations Committee chairperson. In cases involving alleged abuse, the accuser will accompany the SPRC chair in notifying the proper agencies and the district superintendent. Then, the SPRC chairperson will inform the district superintendent. Next, the district superintendent will inform the bishop, and in consultation with the SPRC chairperson, they will decide whether the clergy person will be removed from the pulpit until the investigation is completed and resolved. And lastly, the bishop may activate the conference response team to help church with the next steps.
Well, these are situations, abuse, neglect, that we pray never are part of our life together at Bethel. But as all United Methodist churches, we have a responsibility to be proactive in thinking about these things and having a process in place to address them. And every year at our charge conference, the district superintendent asks every United Methodist local congregation, do you have a safe sanctuaries policy, and is it up to date? And we want to be able always to say in good faith, yes. And all our volunteers and staff and clergy are trained and are aware and are doing our very best to prevent abuse, offer care, and strengthen the ministries of our church. So, on behalf of the Bethel family, we're doing this as a proactive measure, hopefully instilling great confidence to both Bethel members and those who haven't found us yet, that this is indeed a safe sanctuary, that this is a place where we call one another family and we take care of one another with the utmost respect and care. So let me thank you for your time in watching this video and taking care of the appropriate paperwork required, and in volunteering your time and your heart and your prayers to strengthen the life and ministry of this great church we call Bethel. I'm grateful.
Now that you have finished watching this video, please take a moment to fill out the Safe Sanctuary volunteer form. We have some provided for you on the table. If you are watching this video not in person, you can contact the church office and ask for a copy, and we are happy to send that to you. You're welcome to fill that out and then send that back to us, or drop it by the church office if you feel it's more comfortable sharing information that way. A few things to note about the form. As far as protecting you and your information, please know that only one staff member is able to background check. So that information is only shared with that one staff member and that one staff member only. And after that background check is run, we keep that information under lock and key. Your social security number is blacked out. We do not keep that information only what we received back from the background check will be kept in the office. And again, that is locked up and only the one staff member has access to that. Your file will be secured and it's dated for 3 years as of today. The day that you sign the back of this volunteer form, from that day, 3 years, you don't have to do this again. We'll come back in 3 years and visit you if you're still volunteering, but know that you are good for 3 years. We do not discuss background checks with anyone. If it's necessary, we will discuss it with the pastor, but the pastor alone is the only one that will have that information. And if your background check results compromise your eligibility to serve, the pastor will notify you, and then the pastor will discuss that with you. So, thank you again for watching this video and for joining Bethel staff and the church leadership team and all of our children and youth and mission ministries in creating a safe and nurturing space for the most vulnerable members of Bethel. Remember, Jesus said, "Welcome the little ones," because we all enter the kingdom as a child. Young eyes see God, the world, and their place in it differently than adults. Where adults see the ordinary, children and youth see the extraordinary. When adults see roadblocks, children see possibilities. And Jesus understood that children offer a unique glimpse of what it looks like to be people of faith who celebrate the present moment and look at the world with wonder and expect God to do miraculous things. When we commit to creating safe spaces of our children and youth to grow and learn, we're making a statement that we value their witness. And again, thank you so much from me, from my staff, from the leadership, and from Bethel. Thank you.